Colonel Alan West, how are you? What were you doing? You getting a cup of coffee at Starbucks? What was going on there?
No, I'm sorry. I'm not so sophisticated that I go to Starbucks. I was speaking at the Center for Security Policy about national security strategy.
Yeah, fine. Well, that Laura Ingraham Show doesn't matter. Yeah, okay. Just bump off.
All right.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, honestly, do you do that to Charlie Rose, really? Alan West, I'm just teasing you. We have to ask you about a couple of things. Now we have a very short segment, unfortunately,
yeah.
But the effort now to inject race into this presidential campaign, especially with Herman Cain's, black voters are being brainwashed, and now with the painted over rock that in a ranch that leased years by Governor Perry, specifically about the Perry issue. Do you think that he has a race problem?
No, and look, Laura, I don't have time to really get into, people spray painting rocks or anything like that when you think about some of the critical issues that are going on right now. And this election is not about race. This election is about who has the right type of principles of governance and philosophy that will restore this republic, get us out of the economic morass, set the conditions for, long-term job growth, and protect this nation.
But the left doesn't want to talk about that because that makes them look bad. So they're going to talk about race and immigration. And they're going to say, well, you guys like laws like the new Alabama law that basically harkens back to, hoses and putting dogs on black people.
Well, that's the whole point. When you're a failure, which is most of the liberal progressive, all of the liberal progressive policies have been, then they have to go look for the cheap shot. And we just have to have people that are smart about the voting process and understand that all it's going to be is a lot of character assassination, a lot of demagoguery, a lot of class warfare, a lot of racism, and we got to move on beyond that. That's just the sign of a loser.
Speaking of jobs and the need to make sure America is a place where stuff is manufactured and made and business is welcome, why is the House leadership stopping a consideration of this, finally, a crackdown on China's currency manipulation?
Well, I don't know, but I have to tell you that we have to come to the realization that we are in an economic war with China. We have created an incredible trade imbalance with them. I believe in free trade, but it also has to be fair trade. China is a communist country that understood with the collapse of the Soviet Union, you can use capitalism as a weapon against the United States and indeed the West. We've got to get back to producing and manufacturing and investing and not being just a debtor nation.
Well, is John Boehner wrong to block the consideration of this bill?
I think we need to consider that bill because look at what's happening. I mean, China is manipulating their currency. China owns 27% of our debt. We've got the Iranians talking about bringing, vessels along our coastline. There are people in the world that only understand one thing: that's strength and that's action. And we can't sit back and be a nation of inactivity.
Well, this is music to my ears because I think the Republican Party is on the verge of bungling what is not only a winner economically for the country, but also a winner politically. The people are at a position right now, Congressman, where they say, wait a second, all we're saying is that we shouldn't sit back and do nothing when China cheats. We're not saying don't do business with China. We're not saying up tariffs across the board. We're saying common sense approaches to a cheating nation that seeks to undermine our economic superiority. And yet John Boehner is basically saying the same thing that the Chinese government is saying. It's going to start a trade war.
Well, you're correct, and it's very Pavlovian. If you don't do anything against bad behavior, you get more bad behavior.
Colonel West, we love you even when you're late. Thanks so much for joining us, and take care of yourself.
Thanks so much now, Laura.